So when I was a teenager, my room was a disaster, probably 95% of the time. And those of you who know me in real life are probably saying, no way, Caitlin, I don't believe you. But my best friend can definitely attest to this because she would spend time with me helping me clean it up quite often. And I would spend time, I'd spend a couple hours on a Saturday afternoon and I would get it so nice and clean again and it would be so wonderful. But then it would only become a mess again within a few weeks. And it was very frustrating. And I just felt like I'm just not organized. I'm just not an organized person. But the reality was I didn't have an organization problem. I was actually pretty organized. I had a too much stuff problem. I was trying to organize clutter when I just had too much. So over the course of the past 10 or 15 years, I have kind of figured out the way to maintain a clutter-free home. And it is not taking time to blitz your house every 3 or 4 weeks because maybe you have company coming and hiding all of the clutter into the closets and drawers and shoving things away. That is not the key. But I'm gonna share with you today my 6 secrets to how I maintain a clutter-free home. If you guys are new here, my name is Caitlin and I blog over at the Simply Organized Home. So make sure you guys just grab yourself a cup of coffee and sit back and relax. And I'm going to share with you today my 6 secrets on how I maintain a clutter-free home. The very first thing that I think so many of us fail to realize is that we are trying to manage too much stuff. So the first thing you need to do is reduce your inventory. And that might seem a lot easier said than done because we just feel like decluttering is overwhelming. And we have sentimental ties to our things. But the reality is that more is not always better, even though that's what society and, consumerism and all of the shopping stores and every place that you see, all of the commercials, all of the ads, they want you to believe that more is better. But more is not always better. We feel like we have nothing to wear, but yet our closets are overflowing. We feel like we don't have the right shampoo, but yet we have a closet in our bathrooms full of toiletries. We feel like our home is not decorated right, but yet we have decor in bins filling up our garages and our basements. Really, more is not what we need. We need less. We need less to manage. We need less to go through and sort through on a daily basis. We need less to maintain. By reducing the inventory to an amount that we can actually realistically manage in our homes, we're gonna take our stress levels down, we're gonna have less clutter spreading out on our surfaces, and our homes are gonna feel much more peaceful. The second thing that I always encourage people to do is to set boundaries. When we have a home, we kind of have some built-in boundaries. We have cabinets that we can only fit a certain amount of stuff in, and we have closets that we can only fit a certain amount of stuff in. But the reality is that sometimes we like to stretch those boundaries and we like to squeeze in as much as we can when we really need to be giving ourselves 25 to 40% of open space in each area. So if you have a cabinet, we should not be filling it to 100% capacity. You should have about 25% breathing room. We shouldn't be stacking things high. We shouldn't be cramming in as much clothing in as we can to where we can't even spread it apart to pull things out. We should be giving ourselves that space and giving our items room to breathe so that when we are trying to reach for something in the back, we're not just causing a shuffle of clutter. We're actually able to reach in and pull out what we need. So I really love the idea of giving ourselves limits within our clothing. Now, if you have a big closet, you certainly can fit a lot more in your closet than you can if you have a really small kind of reach-in closet. However, just because we have the space does not mean we need to fill it. I really love giving myself limits on my hangers. So I have a closet where I have plenty of room to keep all 4 seasons of clothing. We experience all 4 seasons where I live, and I've given myself a limit of 100 hangers. I've easily been able to see that 100 hangers can very comfortably fit in my closet, and I don't feel like my clothes are smashed. I don't feel like they're getting wrinkles. I feel like I'm constantly rotating through my clothes. I'm wearing everything that I have throughout the year at least several times. I also love that when I buy something new, if I'm out of hangers, then I automatically know it's time for me to get rid of something old. Sometimes our house just doesn't give us the boundaries that we really need to set for ourselves. Just because you have the space doesn't mean you need to fill it. And if it's more than you can realistically manage and it's causing you stress, then it's not worth keeping. And I love that you can set boundaries on way more than just your clothes. You can set boundaries on the amount of toys that your kids have. You can set boundaries on the amount of books that you keep. You can set boundaries on the amount of craft supplies that you have on hand. All of these things are generally things that might get out of hand really quickly. But when we give ourselves these set designated spaces for these things to live, and when those spaces have become full, not 100% full, but more like 60 to 75% full, then we know that we have hit our limits and it's time to start letting things go as we bring in new things. My next tip, my third tip, is to have a purge bin. Now, a purge bin is just a holding place for you to place things as you're ready to part with them. It doesn't mean that you need to just throw things in the back of your car every time you come across something new that you're ready to get rid of, because honestly, I would be throwing things in my car every day. Instead, I put them into a purge bin, and once that bin is full, for me, it takes anywhere from a month to maybe 2 months to fill it up, and then I can just easily take it to my local donation center. If you're like me and you're kind of past the full house decluttering process, you might be to more of the maintenance phase. But just because we've decluttered our house doesn't mean there is never going to be ever a time where you need to get rid of things. We actually do live in our homes, and so there are times when we have to get rid of things. And honestly, even though I'm in the maintenance phase, I'm constantly weeding things out because new things are constantly being brought in. And my kids are outgrowing clothes, they're outgrowing toys, things break, things just happen, and we have to get rid of those things, and that's okay. It's just part of life. Don't feel bad just because you have decluttered your home. When you see that you're still decluttering, that doesn't mean that you failed. It means that you're maintaining your home, and that is a good thing. So for me, if I didn't have a purge bin, my items would likely find their way into the floor of my closet, or maybe yours find their way into your basement in a pile, or maybe a spare bedroom. Wherever it might be, that might be your kind of clutter hotspot. It might be where you kind of just toss things if you don't know what to do with them. But don't do that. Find yourself a purge bin. We keep ours in our garage. It's really easy to get to. We can toss things in there as we find them and come across them. And then when it's full, we just load it up into our car, take it to our local donation center, and it's so easy. My fourth tip is to live on a budget. Now, if you have an unlimited budget, I get it. I understand, and that's wonderful for you. But the reality is that most of us do live on a budget, and we can't just go buy willy-nilly the way we want to, even though that sounds kind of fun at times. It's just not the reality of most of us in our lives. And I can also think of a lot of better ways that we could spend our money than just kind of going out and, having a major shopping spree whenever we want. When we live on a budget, we are actually forcing ourselves to limit the amount of things that we're bringing into our home. So for me, I can struggle with buying home decor. I love home decor. I think it's so much fun to decorate my home, but I can go overboard really easily if I'm not careful. So I have to live on a budget, and I have to give myself a set amount of money to spend on home decor every month or every few months. But maybe home decor is not your thing. Maybe you like clothes, maybe you like craft supplies, maybe you like to buy books. Whatever your thing is that you really struggle with bringing in an overabundance, give yourself a limit on that. So if you buy 10 or 15 books on Amazon on a regular basis each month, maybe give yourself a set dollar amount, maybe $30 or $40 or $50. And once that money is gone, then you're done buying books. And maybe you have to utilize your local library to find books to read, and that's okay. Give yourself that limit. Maybe if you're like me and you struggle with buying home decor, give yourself a certain amount of money that you can spend on that every single month. And then once that money is gone, then it's time for you to just kind of use what you already have, rearrange your decor, maybe swap items with a friend, or just enjoy the beautiful home that you likely already have. And it's really important to remember that if you have internet access, then you're somewhere in the top 5% of the world as far as the economy goes. You probably have more than you need. That's a wonderful thing to have more than we need, but to spend more and to bring in more when others have not enough. I think sometimes it's really good to change our perspective on things and to realize that just because we have the money to spend on this doesn't mean we need to. And kind of readjusting our values and our mindset to a world view and really being more intentional with the money that God has blessed us with can be a beautiful thing. So give yourself a limit as far as what you can spend. Really focus in on that category, or maybe you have a couple categories where you really tend to overbuy, and don't go over those limits and really try to use what you already have. My 5th tip is to follow daily routines. Now, these don't have to be complicated. I feel like sometimes we can just feel more overwhelmed by trying to follow through with a routine every single day. But again, they don't have to be complicated. I think just making your bed when you get up in the morning, starting a load of laundry before the day gets started, and kind of tidying up your kitchen and emptying your dishwasher so that you're ready to add dirty dishes to it throughout the day is like the most simple and easiest way to get started. And honestly, those are the 3 things that I do on a regular daily basis, and that's it. And honestly, I actually kind of handed off emptying the dishwasher to my 9-year-old. So that's another tip. If you're really struggling to kind of get into a better daily routine, try and hand off a chore or 2 to your kids who are responsible and old enough to complete those tasks. And then that takes one less thing off of your plate. I think oftentimes we can feel like our home is cluttered when really the reality is that things are just kind of out of place and they're not put away. And I think that's normal. I think that's life. I think if you live in your home, things are gonna get out of place. Things aren't gonna be perfect every single day, but just giving yourself a good reset every day can really make a difference. So follow through with those daily routines and really get your family involved. Don't feel like it's gotta all be a burden on your shoulders. It doesn't. Just give yourself 1 or 2 tasks to do each morning and 1 or 2 tasks to do each night. And then pass 1 or 2 off to your husband, your significant other, children who are able to do those things. And it will really make a huge difference in how your home feels every single day. A messy home will often feel very, very cluttered, but daily tidying can make a huge difference in how our home feels. And when our home feels relaxing and calm, it's less overwhelming to us. But when our home is cluttered, studies have shown that our cortisol levels, that's the stress hormone, they rise significantly. And that stress hormone, cortisol, is what causes us to feel fatigued and anxious and overwhelmed. They can even cause us to do things like gain weight, have high blood pressure, and even struggle with depression. Right now, if you're living in this world and it's 2020, there are way too many other things that can be causing us stress and high cortisol levels. Our homes should not be one of them. So follow through with those daily routines. Set yourself a goal to try and do 1 task tomorrow morning and see how that makes you feel. And then each day or every few days, add on another task and see how that works and see how the change in your home will make you feel, will make your family feel. And I promise you, I think you're gonna see a drastic difference really quickly. My last tip is for you to perform regular maintenance. Just because we've decluttered our homes, like I said earlier, once and gone through and done a really good deep dive declutter and we feel like our home is peaceful does not mean that we will never have to let go of another item again. That is not the reality of living on this earth. We are consumers by nature. Things will be coming into our home, and that also means that things will need to leave our home. There's a girl that I follow on Instagram, and I think her name is Stephanie, but she goes by Minimalist Mom Life over there. I will leave a link to her Instagram down below. But she uses this term a lot, and I love it. She says to be the gatekeeper of your home. You control what comes in and what goes out every single day. And we have to be very diligent gatekeepers of our homes. And the beautiful part of regular maintenance is that projects like this won't take you as long once you have decluttered your home. So the other day, I decided to go into my linen closet because it was kind of getting a little bit, overcluttered. Like I felt like I couldn't find what I was looking for. And so I knew I needed to go in and do some regular maintenance in there. And so I spent maybe 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes at most, kind of tidying things up, pulling things out that we weren't using anymore, and getting rid of things that had expired or gone bad, or just kind of like that loose packaging that kind of tends to just find its way into baskets and bins, you know what I mean? And it made such a difference. And it didn't take me nearly as long as it would if maybe you've never decluttered this space before. But now that I go in and I do that regular maintenance once every 4 to 6 months, I have really noticed that those projects like that do not take nearly as long. And so they're not nearly as overwhelming. When you have systems in place and you've reduced your inventory, you're utilizing a purge bin and you're following through with your routine, and you're living on a budget and reducing your impulse purchases, then your home is going to stay and maintain clutter-free. Now I use this and I say this always with a caveat. Is our home always clutter-free? Absolutely not. We live here. I have 2 boys. I have a dog. We like to do projects. We like to cook. My kids love to play. So yeah, if you come over to my home any given day, you're probably gonna find that my house isn't perfectly clean. It's just the reality. We live in our home and that's what I expect us to do. The difference in our home now compared to what it was 5 or 6 or 7 years ago is dramatic. We can clean things up. We can work together to tidy our home. It doesn't take us hours and hours to get ready for company. Instead, we can be ready for company in 30 minutes or less. Even if our house is a complete disaster, it really just doesn't take us the time that it used to. It doesn't cause us the stress that it used to, because I know that there is a place for everything to go back to when we are done using it. If you found these tips helpful, please hit that thumbs up button down below, and don't forget to subscribe so that we can spend more time together, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.